Welcome back to Bold Carry. I'm Douglas Pelsang, and this is Carl. Carl is a gamer, a gun owner, and some of his followers informed me that he had an incident the other day. Here it is.
Hostile VTOL warship inbound.
Say I ain't got money. Say I ain't got money. What? I swear to God, I just emptied the mag.
Before we break down this clip, I'd like to emphasize the purpose of this video is not to mock or make fun of, because honestly, this could be any one of us if we don't follow some very strict rules in safe firearm handling. And those rules are: rule number 1, always keep the firearm pointed in a safe direction. Number 2, keep your finger off the trigger until you are on target and ready to shoot. And number 3, keep the firearm unloaded until it is ready for use. So with that in mind, remember to like, share, subscribe, keep the comments clean, and let's see what we can learn.
Hostile VTOL warship inbound.
Say I ain't got money. Say I ain't got money.
So the first thing we see here is that at the moment, Carl is not displaying the mindset needed to handle a firearm. And there's two main considerations for that. One, if you look on the desk, you can see a beer sitting on the desk. And Carl admitted in his apology video that he was indeed intoxicated. Now, it should go without saying that alcohol and firearms absolutely do not mix. Just like driving a vehicle and being under the influence is a very dangerous thing to do, handling a firearm while drinking is extremely dangerous. The biggest thing with alcohol is it does limit your ability to process information. Proverbs 31 puts it this way: "It is not for kings to drink wine, nor princes strong drink, lest they forget thy law." Now, that passage is specifically talking about the law of God, but in this case, drinking beer was a contributing factor to Carl forgetting the universal rules of firearm safety. The second consideration here for an improper mindset is it appears that Carl is responding to an ego challenge. As firearm owners, and especially as individuals who carry firearms for self-protection, we absolutely need to keep our ego in check. Ego is absolutely something that pushes us into unnecessary conflict and makes us take unnecessary actions to prove our own self-worth. When I say this, I'm speaking for myself. It can be hard to let things go and not let our ego get to us. But absolutely, to stay safe, we have to do that. Now here we do see Carl trying to abide by universal safety rule number 3, which is keeping the firearm unloaded until ready to use. And seeing as he did not want to use his firearm in this instance, he was attempting to clear the firearm. But unfortunately, he missed two very necessary steps for properly clearing the firearm. First, you need to remove the source of ammunition. If that's a revolver, you open the cylinder and eject the rounds. If that's a semi-automatic, you need to remove the magazine from the firearm. Second, you need to lock the slide to the rear and both visually and physically verify that the chamber of the firearm is indeed empty. It is absolutely good practice to do this step twice before closing the action. Unfortunately, because Carl skipped both of those steps, he inadvertently loaded another round from the magazine instead of simply ejecting the chambered round. Here's where Carl broke the other two universal rules of firearm safety. Number 1, keeping the firearm pointed in a safe direction at all times, and number 2, keeping your finger off the trigger until you are on target and ready to shoot. First, we see that Carl is pointing the gun in an unsafe direction. Why would this be considered an unsafe direction? Well, if you would have asked Carl before this shot happened, do you want to destroy this $1,000 monitor? I'm sure his answer would be no. That is how we determine if we're pointing the firearm in a safe direction. If you are going to point the gun at something you are not willing to destroy, that is an unsafe direction. Now, thankfully, the only loss here was monetary, and there was absolutely no loss of life or serious injury, And thankfully, by a stroke of luck, Carl was aimed at a stainless steel cup, which effectively trapped the bullet in the room and did not allow the bullet to travel through his entire house, which could have possibly harmed somebody else. Number two, we see that he places his finger on the trigger when he is not intending to fire the gun. I do not know specifically why he was inclined to pull the trigger, but I would assume it was part of his clearing procedure. Some people don't like to leave their springs under tension and their triggers staged on a firearm that is unloaded, but I would caution every time you pull the trigger on a firearm, you are absolutely increasing your chances of having a negligent discharge. So if you're someone who would like to decock their firearm after unloading it, please buy a firearm that has a decocker lever on it so that you can safely do that. If you have a firearm like this Glock, which does not have a decocker, and you would still like to decock it, you absolutely have to make sure, double check, and even triple check that the firearm is indeed clear, and consciously point the firearm in a safe direction before pulling the trigger. However, I would encourage everyone to skip this specific step in clearing your firearm because the saving of wear and tear on your gun absolutely does not outweigh the safety risk.
What the?
To wrap this up, I would like to say I appreciate Carl's attitude in his apology video. He absolutely owned up 100% for his actions here. He made zero excuses for himself. So keep up that good attitude and always apply the universal rules of firearm safety. Remember, guys, negligent discharges have one of two causes: ignorance or carelessness. And none of us are ignorant. So stay vigilant, stay safe, and carry on.